I left something out of my what I eat video that is very important, so I thought I would touch on that briefly in this video, and that is homemade bone broth. I consume anywhere from 1 to 2 cups of bone broth each day as a supplemental nutrient in my diet. And I make it myself using grass-fed beef bone marrow bones that I get from either Whole Foods, or usually I can find them at Whole Foods, but I will take 1 to 2 pounds of grass-fed marrow bones, and I will put that in a large stock pot, and then I add about 2 tablespoons of raw unpasteurized organic apple cider vinegar, and I roughly chop a couple stalks of celery, a few carrots, and then I will throw in an entire onion. And let's see, what else do I put? I put parsley, and generously I add some salt, sea salt, and pepper. I'm trying to think what else I put. I put whole mustard seeds. I sprinkle some of those in. I think that's about it. And then I fill the pot just with filtered water. And I fill it about just 2.5 inches above the bones. And I bring that to a boil. And I boil it for about 2 or 3 minutes. And then I turn the stove down. And I put the lid on it with the lid cracked, and I will simmer that on the lowest setting that my stovetop goes, so it's almost like a warm setting rather than even simmering, but I turn it down to the lowest setting, and I leave it there for at least 24 hours, sometimes up to 40 hours, depending on when I have time to deal with it. So and that's it. And when that is done, I will turn the stove off, and usually I need a few jars because of the capacity, how much bone broth it yields. So I will have those jars ready, and I have a strainer lined with cheesecloth, and I just strain the broth, and when it's strained in the jars, I usually put a sticker on the top, to tell me the date that it's made, so that I can consume it within like 7 days in the refrigerator, or else I freeze the rest if I can't consume it fast enough. I'll just freeze it in ice cube trays, but I usually consume it before I make the next batch because I have it down to a assembly line type of thing where if I'm running low, I start a new batch so that I can have it continuously, a continuous supply rather. But after I strain it, I will put it in the refrigerator, label it, and what happens when it's refrigerated for about, it takes about 6 or 7 hours at least, so 6 or 7 hours, or overnight ideally. When I wake up in the morning, I find there's a layer of tallow, fat on the top, and so that can be saved and used for cooking, actually. It's, there's nothing wrong with that fat. There's nothing wrong with fat in the diet at all. In fact, it's really good and necessary. So that can be used to cook things like eggs. If you want to fry an egg, you can use that, or you can just add it to your foods as a fat source. So when the broth underneath, the really good bone broth that I have made, it's the consistency of set gelatin. So it's very jiggly and gelatinous, and that's what you want because that's where all the precious collagen, and it's very mineral rich and nutrient dense food. And that is something that I totally forgot about in my What I Eat video, and I just wanted to mention that for anyone who might be curious about bone broth, or, I know bone broth is very trendy now, but that has existed for centuries as a healing and a medicinal food because it's so mineral rich and nutrient dense. And that too, to tie it into some of my previous videos, it's very good for the skin. because it is so rich in collagen, and that collagen protein from the gelatin, the beef gelatin in the broth, that helps make the skin, or I should say it helps encourage that supple quality to the skin and keeps the skin very, supple, I will just say. So that's it. And if you have any questions specifically about bone broth, you can leave them down below. And as always, I will try my best to answer them accordingly. Thank you for watching.